This video is designed to show you a very special type of problem that you may encounter in MyMathLab that actually allows you to submit written work in addition to your normal answers that you would type into the program. These types of problems are often flagged as show your work problems. And the way you can recognize them in your homework is when you're looking at those list of questions, you'll see that there's a little SW next to that question. Let's actually get into this homework assignment and see how these things work. Alright, so for a normal question, normally you would just type in an answer or maybe select a multiple choice option and then move on to the next question. If we go to one of these problems that actually requires you to show your work, you'll see that a box in addition to the normal question box usually appears. It's in this additional box that we will end up submitting our written work. It's often good to put this box off to the side so that you can see the question and end up working through the problem. So again, the idea is that you work on the problem as normal and then use this additional box to submit your actual work that you did in order to get that answer. Let's work with this submit work box to see how it basically functions. So there are many different ways that you could actually submit your work. One of the ways is you could simply type in all of your work directly into the system. This works really good if there's not a whole lot of work that you need to show, or if the number of symbols that you use are not very complicated. The system itself gives you a variety of different symbols that you could put into the work, but I find that if you have to really use a lot of symbols, sometimes it's easier just to submit something that's actually handwritten. If you do end up doing, say, some work written out on paper, I think the best way to submit it is actually to take a picture of that paper and then insert that picture into the show work box. So let's suppose I did that instead. So I just wrote out my work on paper, took a picture of it, say with my camera phone, and now I want to insert that picture. You would want to save that file somewhere on your computer. That way you could bring it up and actually select it from this box. There we go. So as you can see, I was able to just insert that picture in there, and if it was, say, my written work, me as the instructor would be able to see it just fine. Now you can also do things if you want to, say, add a graph. You can see how you could possibly graph a line. And when you click save, that gets added to the rest of your work. Now, if you ever close that box or something happens and you want to review what work you've already entered in, an additional button is set up on the side so you can always view it or make edits to it. Alright, so everything looks fine. I'll click save again. Now the interesting part about these show work problems is most of the time the computer will actually score what you've submitted to the system. So if you said that the solution is 5 and it turns out the solution really is 5, the computer will go ahead and give you partial credit for that answer. The rest of the credit will usually comes when I get into the system and then I see your written work and I basically grade that portion and add that in addition to whatever points you could have earned on the problem. The only downside to this system is basically you have to wait for me to sometimes view particular problems. For that reason, I tend not to overuse this. So you'll definitely see this in the future assignments, and you'll see one on the quiz. And when you want to review any feedback or if you got it right or wrong, remember that you can go to your gradebook to review an assignment.